The night air hung heavy with an eerie stillness, broken only by the distant hum of traffic on the Indianapolis bypass. It was November 17, 1978, and the Burger Chef restaurant on Crawfordsville Road had just closed its doors for the night. Inside, young employees were finishing up their closing duties, unaware that their lives were about to change forever. Jane Freet, the 20-year-old assistant manager, counted the day's receipts while her colleagues cleaned the kitchen. The clock ticked past midnight, and a sense of unease began to creep over the restaurant. Suddenly, the back door burst open, and 3 masked figures stormed in, brandishing weapons. Panic ensued as the intruders quickly overpowered the young workers, forcing them into a van parked outside. As the van sped away into the night, the Burger Chef stood eerily quiet, its secrets locked within its walls. The next morning, a delivery driver discovered the restaurant unlocked and abandoned, with no sign of the missing employees. Detective Sarah Holloway arrived at the scene, her keen eyes scanning for clues amidst the chaos. The safe was open, its contents untouched. A half-eaten hamburger lay on the counter, a silent witness to the previous night's events. As Sarah pieced together the timeline, a chilling realization set in. This was no ordinary robbery gone wrong. Days passed, and the city held its breath, hoping for the safe return of the missing youths. But on November 19th, the worst fears were confirmed when 4 bodies were discovered in a remote wooded area in Johnson County. Jane Freet had been stabbed twice in the chest. The others had been shot execution style. As Sarah stood over the crime scene, the brutality of the murders sent a chill down her spine. This was more than a random act of violence. It was calculated, personal, and horrifyingly meticulous. Back at the station, Sarah pored over the evidence, searching for any thread that might unravel the mystery. A curious detail caught her attention. A single key found in Jane's pocket, unlike any she'd seen before. As she turned the key over in her hands, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that it was the key to solving the entire case. Weeks turned into months, and the investigation hit one dead end after another. The community's fear turned to frustration, and then to a resigned acceptance that the killers might never be caught. But Sarah refused to let the case go cold. She knew the answers were out there, waiting to be uncovered. 1 year after the murders, a breakthrough finally came in the form of an anonymous tip. A man named James Freet had been bragging about his involvement in a high-profile crime at a local bar. As Sarah dug into James's background, a disturbing picture began to emerge. He had a history of violence and had been fired from several fast food jobs for erratic behavior. But it was the discovery of his connection to Jane that sent shockwaves through the investigation. James Freet was Jane's estranged older brother, a fact she had kept hidden from her co-workers and employers. As Sarah pieced together the family's troubled history, a motive began to take shape. James had always resented his sister's success, viewing her rapid promotion at Burger Chef as a personal slight. His resentment had festered over the years, fueled by drug use and a series of personal failures. The night of the murders, James had convinced 2 of his criminal associates to help him teach Jane a lesson. But what started as an ill-conceived attempt at intimidation quickly spiraled out of control. As Sarah prepared to make an arrest, a new piece of evidence surfaced that threatened to upend the entire case. A surveillance video from a gas station near the woods showed James filling up a van on the night of the murders. But the timestamp on the video conflicted with the estimated time of death for the victims. Sarah's instincts told her something wasn't adding up. She decided to take a closer look at the mysterious key found on Jane. After weeks of searching, she finally identified it as belonging to a safety deposit box at a local bank. Inside the box, Sarah found a journal detailing Jane's fear of her brother and her plans to leave town. But it was the last entry that sent a chill down Sarah's spine. Jane had written about discovering her brother's involvement in a drug trafficking ring operating out of several fast food restaurants. She had been gathering evidence to turn him in, using her position at Burger Chef as cover. The truth hit Sarah like a thunderbolt. The murders weren't just about sibling rivalry. They were a cover-up for something much bigger. As she raced to piece together the final elements of the puzzle, Sarah realized she was now in danger herself. The drug ring had tentacles reaching into law enforcement, and someone was working to sabotage her investigation from the inside. With time running out and trust in short supply, Sarah made a daring move. She arranged a secret meeting with James, hoping to get a confession and expose the larger conspiracy. As they sat in a dimly lit parking garage, James's cool facade began to crack under Sarah's relentless questioning. He finally broke down, admitting to the murders but insisting that he had been forced to do it by the drug ring leaders. Just as Sarah thought she had her confession, shots rang out in the darkness. James slumped forward, blood spreading across his shirt. Sarah dove for cover, her heart pounding. In the chaos that followed, Sarah managed to apprehend one of the shooters, a high-ranking police official on the drug ring's payroll. The arrest set off a chain reaction, exposing the full extent of the corruption and bringing down the entire operation. As the dust settled, Sarah stood in front of the old Burger Chef building, now long closed and boarded up. The case had taken nearly everything from her: years of her life, relationships, and almost her career. But as she placed a small bouquet of flowers by the door in memory of Jane and the other victims, she felt a sense of closure. The Burger Chef murders had become more than just a case. They were a stark reminder of the depths of human nature and the high cost of justice. As Sarah walked away, the setting sun cast long shadows across the parking lot, much like the lingering questions that would forever surround the case. For while the main players had been brought to justice, the full truth of that fateful night would remain locked away, as silent as the abandoned restaurant itself.